First contact and invasion. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Zarkonian armada emerged from hyperspace, their sleek, biomechanical ships casting long shadows across Earth's moon. Supreme Commander Vexlor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Void, his four eyes narrowing as he gazed upon the blue planet before him. His scaled skin rippled with anticipation, mandibles clicking in what passed for a smile among his species. "Pitiful," he muttered, voice like gravel in a meat grinder. "To think these primitive apes dare to refuse our generous offer of subjugation." 3 solar cycles ago, the Zarkonian Empire had sent emissaries to Earth, demanding immediate surrender and integration into their galaxy-spanning regime. The humans, in what Vexlor could only assume was a bout of mass insanity, had politely declined. Now, the Supreme Commander had returned to show them the error of their ways. "Begin the assault," Vexlor commanded, his words echoing through the cavernous bridge. "Let us educate these humans on the price of defiance." As one, the Zarkonian fleet surged forward, their weapons charging with an eerie purple glow. The first salvo struck Earth's orbital defenses, shattering satellites and space stations alike. Humanity's meager attempts at resistance were swept aside like insects before a storm. On the planet's surface, chaos reigned. In New York City, Sarah Chen, a brilliant young physicist, watched in horror as the alien ships descended from the sky. The streets filled with panicked crowds, their screams drowned out by the thunderous roar of Zarkonian energy weapons. "This can't be happening," Sarah whispered, clutching her tablet to her chest. On the screen, a half-finished equation glowed, the potential key to unlocking faster-than-light travel. Now, it seemed like nothing more than a cruel joke. Across the Atlantic, in a secret underground bunker beneath London, General Marcus Blackwood slammed his fist on the war room table. "Where the hell is our planetary defense grid?" he roared, glaring at the holographic display showing the rapid fall of Earth's military forces. "Sir," a young lieutenant stammered, "the aliens? They're using some kind of technology we've never seen before. Our weapons are barely scratching their shields." Blackwood's face hardened, years of military experience warring with the unprecedented nature of the threat. "Then we adapt," he growled. "Humanity stood against worse odds before. We're not going down without a fight." As the general barked orders, mobilizing what remained of Earth's defenses, the Zarkonian invasion pressed on. Cities fell one by one, their proudest monuments reduced to rubble under the relentless alien assault. In the heartland of America, amidst the swaying wheat fields of Kansas, John Cooper watched the distant horizon burn. The grizzled farmer had lived through droughts, tornadoes, and economic collapse, but nothing could have prepared him for this. He spat on the ground, eyes narrowing as he made his decision. "Martha," he called to his wife, "get the boys and head for the storm cellar. I've got some calls to make." As Martha herded their teenage sons to safety, John pulled out an ancient flip phone, one he hadn't used in years. He dialed a number from memory, waiting as it rang once, twice, 3 times. "Wildfire protocol initiated," a computerized voice answered. "Sleeper cell activation in progress." John nodded grimly. His past as a special forces operator was long behind him, but some skills, and some contingency plans, never faded. Meanwhile, in low Earth orbit, the International Space Station drifted helplessly, its crew watching in stunned silence as their home world burned. Commander Elena Volkov, a veteran cosmonaut with nerves of steel, felt tears streaming down her face in the zero-gravity environment. "We can't just sit here and watch," protested Alex Johnson, the American mission specialist. "There has to be something we can do." Elena's mind raced, considering and discarding options at lightning speed. Then her eyes widened as an idea took shape, dangerous, possibly suicidal, but with a glimmer of hope. "Listen carefully," she said, her accent thickening with urgency. "We may not be able to fight these bastards directly, but we got something they don't expect, a bird's eye view of their entire invasion. As Elena outlined her plan, a spark of determination ignited in the eyes of her crew. They might be trapped in orbit, but that didn't mean they were helpless. If they could gather intelligence on the alien fleet's movements and weaknesses, maybe, just maybe, they could give Earth a fighting chance. Back on the surface, the tide of invasion seemed unstoppable. Zarkonian walkers, towering three-legged monstrosities bristling with weapons, strode through the ruins of once proud cities. Their energy beams lanced out, vaporizing pockets of human resistance with terrifying efficiency. Yet, even in the face of such overwhelming force, humanity refused to break. In the subways of Moscow, the Bushkas who had survived the siege of Leningrad now led groups of survivors in guerrilla attacks against alien patrols. In the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, street kids who had grown up dodging bullets now turned their quick reflexes and intimate knowledge of the twisted alleys against the invaders. Supreme Commander Vexilor watched the ongoing conquest with growing frustration. Yes, they were winning, but these humans, they simply refused to lie down and accept their defeat. Every victory was met with a dozen new pockets of resistance springing up elsewhere. Incompetent fools, he snarled at his subordinates. How hard can it be to subdue one primitive planet? Double the assault on their population centers. I want this world pacified within the next solar rotation. As the Zarkonian forces redoubled their efforts, the night sky above Earth blazed with the fury of orbital bombardments. It seemed that humanity's time had finally run out. Yet in hidden bunkers, secret laboratories, and improvised command centers around the globe, the seeds of resistance were taking root. Sarah Chen pored over alien technology recovered from a downed scout ship, her mind racing with possibilities. General Blackwood coordinated a worldwide guerrilla network, his tactical genius adapting to a war unlike any in human history. And John Cooper, along with countless other sleeper agents, prepared to unleash a counter-offensive that would shock even the alien invaders. The Zarkonians thought they had come to subjugate a weak, primitive species. They were about to learn just how dangerous humanity could be when pushed to the brink. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, Earth hung in the balance. The coming hours would determine not just the fate of one planet, but the future of two species. And humanity, bloodied but unbowed, steeled itself for the fight of its life. Human resilience and counterattack. The dawn of the second day broke over a world transformed. Smoke from burning cities blotted out the sun, casting an apocalyptic pall over the devastated landscape. Yet amid the ruins, humanity's spirit remained unbroken. In the scorched remains of Central Park, Sarah Chen huddled over a makeshift workbench, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. Scattered around her were pieces of alien technology salvaged from a downed Zarkonian scout ship. Her fingers flew over a jury-rigged tablet, complex equations scrolling across the cracked screen. Come on, she muttered, her voice hoarse from the acrid air. A spark jumped between two pieces of alien circuitry, and suddenly, a holographic display flickered to life. Sarah's eyes widened as she deciphered the alien script. That's it, she exclaimed. Their shield frequency, it's not static. It modulates on a quantum level. Across the Atlantic, in the war room beneath London, General Marcus Blackwood received Sarah's breakthrough with grim satisfaction. Good work, Dr. Chen, he said, his voice carrying through secured channels to resistance cells worldwide. Now let's make these alien bastards regret ever setting foot on our planet. Blackwood turned to his assembled team, a motley crew of military personnel, hackers, and civilian volunteers. Listen up, people. Thanks to Dr. Chen's work, we now have a chance to penetrate the Zarkonian defenses. But we need to strike hard and fast before they realize we've cracked their tech. As Blackwood outlined the plan, John Cooper and his network of sleeper agents sprang into action. Across the globe, hidden caches of experimental weapons were unearthed, some so classified that even most world governments have been unaware of their existence. In the heartland of America, Cooper led a team to a nondescript barn. With a series of complex biometric scans, a hidden elevator revealed itself. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Cooper said as they descended into a vast underground facility. Row upon row of sleek, matte black aircraft stood ready, Earth's secret trump card. "Holy shit," breathed one of Cooper's teammates, a former Air Force pilot. "Are those anti-gravity engines?" Cooper allowed himself a grim smile. "Among other things, looks like the eggheads at DRBA have been busier than we thought. Now let's see how these Arconian flyboys handle a real dogfight." As resistance forces worldwide mobilized, the crew of the International Space Station continued their perilous mission. Commander Elena Volkov and her team had rigged a series of improvised sensors, using their unique vantage point to map the Zarkonian fleet movements. "There," Alex Johnson exclaimed, pointing at a holographic display. "That cluster of ships, their formation is different. I think we found their command vessel." Elena's eyes narrowed as she studied the data. "Good work, Alex. Now let's make sure Blackwood gets this intel. It might be the key to cutting off the snake's head." Back on Earth, the counterattack began. In New York, Sarah Chen led a team into the heart of alien-occupied territory. Their objective, a Zarkonian communications hub. As they approached, Sarah activated her device. The alien force field flickered and died. "We're in," Sarah shouted. "Plant the charges and let's move." Across the city, similar scenes played out. Human strike teams, armed with Sarah's shield breaker technology, penetrated Zarkonian defenses that had seemed impregnable just hours before. In the skies above, the secret squadrons of Project Prometheus engaged the alien fighters. The Zarkonians, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of human craft that could match their maneuverability, found themselves in the fight of their lives. Lieutenant Maria Sanchez, call sign Comet, whooped with joy as her Prometheus fighter effortlessly outmaneuvered a Zarkonian pursuer. "How's that for primitive, you oversized lobsters?" she crowed, unleashing a barrage of experimental plasma weapons that shredded the alien ship. Supreme Commander Vexilor, watching from the bridge of the eternal void, felt the first stirrings of genuine concern. "Impossible," he growled, mandibles clicking furiously. "How are they doing this? Where did these humans get such technology?" An aide approached, trembling. "Supreme Commander, we're detecting multiple breaches in our ground fortifications. And our fleet, it's under heavy attack from previously unencountered human fighters." Vexilor's eyes blazed with fury. "Launch everything we have. I want these human vermin exterminated, no matter the cost." As the battle raged across the globe, General Blackwood coordinated the assault from his underground command center. Holographic displays showed the progress of the counterattack. Blue human icons slowly pushing back the red tide of Zarkonian forces. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the ISS." Blackwood's eyebrows shot up. "Put it through." Commander Volkov's face appeared on screen, her expression grave but determined. "General, we've identified the Zarkonian command ship. Sending coordinates now. But there's more. We've detected some kind of energy buildup. Whatever they're planning, it's big." Blackwood nodded, his mind racing. "Good work, Commander. We'll handle it from here. You and your crew have done more than enough." As the transmission ended, Blackwood turned to his staff. "This is it, people. We've got the location of their command ship and whatever superweapon they're charging up. It's time to end this." He keyed in a secure channel to the Prometheus squadrons. "All units, this is Thunderbird Actual. We have a priority target. Converge on these coordinates and hit them with everything you've got." Around the world, the tide of battle began to turn. In the ruins of Tokyo, a group of teenage hackers led by the brilliant Kenji Tanaka managed to seize control of a Zarkonian walker. The massive war machine, now under human control, turned its weapons against its former masters. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes armed with a combination of ancient wisdom and modern weaponry ambushed Zarkonian patrols. The aliens, accustomed to open warfare, found themselves outmatched in the dense, unforgiving jungle. As the human counteroffensive gained momentum, the Zarkonians found themselves facing an enemy far more tenacious and adaptable than they had ever imagined. Supreme Commander Vexlor watched in growing horror as his invasion force, once seemingly invincible, was slowly but surely pushed back. "Charge the Void Splitter to maximum capacity," Vexlor roared. "If we can't have this world, we'll reduce it to atoms." But even as the Zarkonian superweapon powered up, a massive formation of Prometheus fighters closed in on the Eternal Void. Led by John Cooper himself, the human squadrons dodged and weaved through a hail of alien fire. "This is for Earth, you scaly sons of bitches," Cooper growled, his targeting computer locking onto a critical weak point in the Zarkonian flagship's hull. "Fire everything." A storm of advanced human weaponry converged on the Eternal Void. For a moment, the massive alien ship seemed to shrug off the assault. Then, with a series of catastrophic explosions, it began to break apart. On the bridge, Supreme Commander Vexlor stared in disbelief as his mighty vessel crumbled around him. His last thought, before the final explosion claimed him, was one of grudging respect for the species he had so gravely underestimated. As the Eternal Void disintegrated in low Earth orbit, a cheer went up from human forces worldwide. Without central command, the Zarkonian invasion crumbled. Some alien units fought on, but many, seeing the tide of battle irreversibly turned, chose to surrender. In the war room beneath London, General Blackwood allowed himself a moment of relief. "We did it," he breathed, then straightened up. "But our work's not done. Begin rescue and recovery operations immediately, and someone get me a line to the UN. We've got a lot of rebuilding to do." As the dust settled on humanity's greatest battle, the people of Earth emerged from hiding, blinking in the sunlight of a hard-won victory. The Zarkonian invasion had brought untold destruction, but it had also united humanity like never before. Sarah Chen, looking out over the battered but unbroken skyline of New York, felt a surge of pride and determination. "We've got alien tech to reverse engineer, a planet to rebuild, and a galaxy to explore," she mused. "Looks like humanity's just getting started." In orbit, Commander Volkov and her crew watched the Zarkonian fleet retreating into deep space. "Do you think they'll be back?" Alex Johnson asked quietly. Elena's lips curved in a fierce smile. "Maybe, but next time, we'll be ready. The stars won't know what hit them." As the sun set on the first day of Earth's new era, humanity stood tall, bloody but unbowed. The Zarkonians had come expecting an easy conquest. They left with a harsh lesson. When pushed to the brink, humans don't just endure, they triumph. The turning point. In the weeks following humanity's stunning victory over the Zarkonian invasion, Earth buzzed with a mixture of jubilation and grim determination. The alien threat had been repelled, but at a staggering cost. Major cities lay in ruins, millions were displaced, and the scars of battle stretched across the planet's surface. Yet amid the devastation, a new sense of purpose emerged. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. Now, united as never before, the people of Earth turned their attention to rebuilding and preparing for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. At the heart of this global effort was the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition, EDC. Led by the unlikely trio of General Marcus Blackwood, Dr. Sarah Chen, and John Cooper, the EDC was tasked with not only reconstructing Earth's defenses, but pushing humanity to new technological frontiers. In a repurposed alien structure in Geneva, now serving as EDC headquarters, Sarah Chen pored over holographic displays of reverse-engineered Zarkonian technology. Her eyes gleamed with excitement as she manipulated the schematics of an alien power core. "This is incredible," she murmured. "Their energy production methods are centuries ahead of ours. But if we can crack this..." She trailed off, mind racing with possibilities. John Cooper, Looking decidedly uncomfortable in his new role as head of special operations, grunted. "That's all well and good, Doc, but can you make it go boom? Because I've got a feeling those scaly bastards aren't done with us yet." Before Sarah could reply, General Blackwood strode into the room, his face grave. "We've got a situation," he announced. "Our deep space monitoring stations have picked up something, and it's big." With a wave of his hand, Blackwood brought up a holographic display of the solar system. At the edge, just beyond Pluto's orbit, a massive anomaly pulsed ominously. "What are we looking at, General?" Sarah asked, her voice hushed. Blackwood's jaw tightened. "We're not sure, but given its size and the energy readings, we think it might be a Zarkonian wormhole." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The invasion they had repelled might have been just the vanguard of a much larger force. "How long?" Cooper asked, his hand unconsciously moving to the weapon at his hip. "Based on the rate of expansion, we estimate we have 3 months before whatever's on the other side comes through," Blackwood replied. Sarah's mind was already racing. 3 months to prepare for potentially an entire alien armada. "We need to accelerate everything. Weapons development, space-based defenses, training programs." Blackwood nodded. "Agreed. And we need to do it without causing a global panic. The world's still recovering from the last attack. If word of this gets out too soon, I'll get my teams on it," Cooper interjected. "We've got sleeper cells and hidden bases all over the planet. We'll ramp up production and training in secret." As the 3 leaders of Earth's defense began to formulate their plans, similar scenes played out across the globe. In hidden laboratories and secret facilities, human scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien technology. In orbit, the International Space Station had been transformed into a state-of-the-art early warning system. Commander Elena Volkov, now heading a multinational crew of soldiers and scientists, kept a vigilant watch on the stars. "Another contact," reported Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, her eyes fixed on the sensor displays. "7th one this week. They're probing our defenses." Elena nodded grimly. The Zarkonians had been sending small scout ships through the wormhole, testing Earth's new defensive capabilities. So far, none had made it past the outer solar system alive. "Keep me posted," Elena said. "And make sure the Prometheus squadrons are ready to scramble at a moment's notice." Back on Earth, in a sprawling underground complex beneath the Nevada desert, Maria Sanchez led a new generation of pilots through grueling simulations. The Prometheus fighters, Earth's secret weapon in the last battle, were now the backbone of humanity's space defense force. "Come on, people," Maria shouted as holographic Zarkonian ships swarmed around her students. "You think the real thing's gonna be any easier?" Again. As the pilots grumbled and reset their simulators, Maria allowed herself a small smile. They were good, damned good. But would it be enough? In New Delhi, Dr. Aisha Patel put the finishing touches on a radical new medical technology. Derived from Zarkonian bio-augmentation techniques, it promised to enhance human healing and resilience to unprecedented levels. "We're ready for human trials," she announced to her team. "Any volunteers?" Without hesitation, every hand in the room went up. The weight of humanity's survival rested on all their shoulders, and not one of them was backing down from the challenge. As the weeks passed, Earth's preparations intensified. Cities were fortified with energy shields, automated defense systems were installed on every continent, and a new fleet of advanced warships took shape in orbital shipyards. Yet even as humanity rallied, dissent began to grow. In the ruins of Moscow, Viktor Petrov, a charismatic former soldier, addressed a growing crowd of disaffected survivors. "The EDC claims to protect us," he shouted, his voice carrying across the makeshift settlement. "But where were they when our homes burned? When our families were slaughtered? I say it's time we took our defense into our own hands." The crowd roared its approval, unaware of the shadowy figures watching from the periphery. Cooper's agents melted into the night, their reports already racing back to EDC headquarters. As the second month drew to a close, tensions reached a breaking point. Rumors of the impending alien armada had leaked, sparking panic in some quarters and fierce determination in others. The EDC found itself fighting a war on two fronts, preparing for the alien threat while trying to maintain unity on Earth. It was amid this charged atmosphere that Sarah Chen made her breakthrough. In a secure lab deep beneath Geneva, she stood before General Blackwood and John Cooper, her eyes shining with a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. "We've done it," she announced. "We've cracked the Zarkonian quantum entanglement drive. With this, we can match their faster-than-light capabilities." Blackwood's eyebrows shot up. "Are you sure?" Sarah nodded emphatically. "We've run the simulations 100 times. It works. And not only that, we think we can use it to collapse the wormhole." Cooper let out a low whistle. "Hot, Dan. So we can take the fight to them." "Potentially," Sarah cautioned. "But it's not without risks. If we miscalculate, we could end up stranding our forces in deep space, or worse." As the implications of Sarah's discovery sank in, alarms blared throughout the facility. Blackwood's comm unit crackled to life. "General." Alina Volkov's voice was tight with urgency. "The wormhole. It's destabilizing. Something massive is coming through." The three leaders exchanged grim looks. The moment they had been preparing for had arrived sooner than expected. "How long?" Blackwood demanded. "Minutes," Alina replied. "Maybe less." "Sir, it's larger than anything we've ever seen." As klaxons sounded across the planet and defense systems powered up, humanity stood on the precipice of its greatest challenge yet. The Zarkonian invasion had been repelled, but now the full might of their empire was bearing down on Earth. In command centers and cockpits, in laboratories and bunkers, the people of Earth steeled themselves for the battle to come. They had faced extinction once and emerged victorious. Now, armed with determination, ingenuity, and technology born from the fusion of human and alien science, they prepared to fight not just for their world, but for their place among the stars. As the wormhole flared with blinding intensity, disgorging a vast alien armada, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The true test of humanity's resilience was about to begin. Alien realization and human ingenuity. The fabric of space itself seemed to tear as the Zarkonian armada poured through the destabilizing wormhole. Ships of impossible size and configuration emerged, dwarfing even the largest vessels humanity had faced in the previous invasion. At their center, a colossal dreadnought that seemed to bend light around its hull slowly materialized. On its bridge stood High Admiral Zexera, leader of the Zarkonian Expeditionary Force and sister to the fallen Supreme Commander Vexlor. Her four eyes narrowed as she surveyed the holographic display of the Sol system. "So," she hissed, mandibles clicking in anticipation, "this is the world that dared defy the might of our empire. Prepare to." Her words were cut short as alarms blared across the bridge. Before the Zarkonian fleet could fully emerge from the wormhole, they found themselves under attack. In low Earth orbit, Commander Alina Volkov's voice rang out across all EDC channels. "Operation Shooting Star is go. All units, engage at will." A swarm of sleek, angular ships suddenly decloaked around the Zarkonian fleet. The Artemis-class stealth frigates, a fusion of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech, opened fire with weapons that seemed to ignore traditional laws of physics. High Admiral Zexera stumbled as her flagship rocked under the assault. "Impossible," she snarled. "How did they?" "Admiral," one of her subordinates cried out, "we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything we've encountered. Our shields are barely holding." As chaos erupted across the Zarkonian fleet, the next phase of humanity's defense plan unfolded. From hidden bases on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, squadrons of Prometheus fighters launched, led by Maria Sanchez. "All right, people," Maria's voice crackled through the comms. "Just like we practiced. Hit 'em hard, hit 'em fast, and don't let up." The human fighters darted between the massive Zarkonian ships with impossible agility, their weapons finding weak points that should have been imperceptible to such a primitive species. Back on Earth, in the EDC's primary command center, General Blackwood watched the unfolding battle with steely determination. "Status report," he barked. Sarah Chen, her fingers flying over holographic controls, responded without looking up. "The quantum disruptors are working better than expected, sir. Zarkonian shields are dropping across the board." "But," she hesitated. "Spit it out, Doctor," Blackwood urged. Sarah's face was grim. "Their main dreadnought. Its defenses are like nothing we've seen. I don't think we can breach them with our current weaponry." John Cooper, monitoring the ground defense grid, chimed in. "We've got another problem. Some of their ships are breaking through. We've got dropships heading for major cities worldwide." Blackwood's jaw tightened. "Deploy the Lazarus squads, and get me a direct line to High Admiral Zexera. It's time we had a chat." As EDC forces engaged the Zarkonian ground invasion, a transmission cut across all frequencies. High Admiral Zexera's alien visage appeared on screens throughout both fleets. "Insufferable humans," she snarled. "You dare to resist the inevitable. Your pathetic defenses cannot hope to." Her tirade was cut short as General Blackwood's weathered face replaced hers on the broadcast. "This is General Marcus Blackwood of the Earth Defense Coalition," he stated calmly. "I'll make this simple. Withdraw now, or be destroyed." Zexera's laughter was like grinding stones. "You fool. Even now, your cities burn. Your fleet is outnumbered. What hope do you possibly have?" Blackwood allowed himself a grim smile, the element of surprise. At that moment, across the Earth, hidden defense systems activated. In New York, the Statue of Liberty's torch blazed with otherworldly energy, projecting a shield that vaporized incoming Zarkonian dropships. In Beijing, the Great Wall hummed to life, a network of rail guns emerging to unleash devastation upon alien ground forces. But it was in orbit that humanity's greatest triumph unfolded. The International Space Station, which had appeared defenseless and vulnerable, suddenly transformed. Sections of the station separated and reconfigured, forming a massive weapon unlike anything the Zarkonians had ever seen. "This," Alina Volkov's voice rang out, "is humanity's response to those who would threaten our home. Fire the Excalibur cannon." A beam of pure, concentrated energy lanced out from the transformed ISS, slicing through the Zarkonian fleet like a hot knife through butter. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before were cut in half, their debris spreading across the battlefield. On the bridge of her dreadnought, High Admiral Zexera watched in horror as her fleet was decimated. What are you?" she whispered. The answer came not from Blackwood or any other human leader, but from a chorus of voices. Every human comm channel, every frequency the Zarkonians could access, suddenly filled with a unified message. "We are humanity. We are the ones you underestimated. We are the species that takes what you throw at us and turns it into our strength. We are the nightmare that your empire will never forget." As the tide of battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, the Zarkonian forces found themselves in unfamiliar territory. Retreat. Ships that could still flee began to do so, only to find their escape routes cut off by more human vessels emerging from hidden slip-spaced portals. In the EDC command center, Sarah Chen's eyes widened as she processed new data. "General," she called out, "I've found a weakness in the dreadnought's defenses. If we hit it here," she highlighted a section of the ship's schematic, "we might be able to trigger a chain reaction." Blackwood nodded. "Do it." Across the solar system, human forces coordinated with a precision that left the Zarkonians stunned. Prometheus fighters cleared a path, Artemis frigates provided covering fire, and the Excalibur cannon prepared for its final shot. In her fighter cockpit, Maria Sanchez led the assault on the dreadnought. "For Earth," she cried, unleashing a barrage of missiles at the designated weak point. The combined firepower of humanity's fleet converged on a single point of the massive Zarkonian flagship. For a moment, it seemed as if even this concentrated assault would fail against the dreadnought's defenses. Then, with a flash of light that outshone the sun, the ship's hull cracked. Excalibur cannon charged and ready, Alina Volkov reported. Fire, Blackwood commanded. The beam struck true, piercing the dreadnought's ruptured hull. For a breathless moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, in a cascade of explosions that lit up the sky, the pride of the Zarkonian fleet began to break apart. On its bridge, High Admiral Zexera stared at the human ships surrounding her with a mixture of fear and awe. In that final moment, she understood the terrible mistake her people had made in underestimating the species. As the dreadnought's reactor went critical, Zexera sent out one final transmission. To all Zarkonian forces, retreat, retreat, and warn the Empire. These humans, they are not to be trifled with. The explosion that followed was visible from the surface of Earth, a new star briefly blazing in the daytime sky. As debris rained down, harmlessly burned up in the atmosphere, a cheer went up from every human on the planet and across the solar system. In the EDC command center, Blackwood, Chen, and Cooper shared a moment of stunned silence before erupting into celebration. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. As the remaining Zarkonian ships fled, limping back through the collapsing wormhole, the people of Earth knew that everything had changed. They were no longer alone in the universe, no longer confined to their own world. Sarah Chen, looking out at the stars that now seemed closer than ever, smiled. "So," she said, turning to her colleagues, "who's ready to really explore the galaxy?" The war was over, but humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning, and the universe would never be the same. Final battle and aftermath. The days following humanity's stunning victory over the Zarkonian Armada were filled with a mixture of jubilation, disbelief, and cautious optimism. As the last alien ships disappeared through the collapsing wormhole, the people of Earth allowed themselves to breathe a collective sigh of relief. But for those at the forefront of the conflict, the work was far from over. In the orbit of Mars, aboard the newly christened ESS Horizon, Earth's first true interstellar vessel, General Marcus Blackwood stood before a gathering of military leaders, scientists, and diplomats from across the globe. The ship, a marvel of human engineering and reverse-engineered alien technology, served as a symbol of how far humanity had come in such a short time. "Ladies and gentlemen," Blackwood began, his voice carrying the weight of recent events, "we've won a great victory, but we cannot afford to rest on our laurels. The galaxy now knows we're here, and we need to be prepared for whatever comes next." Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward, activating a holographic display of the Milky Way. "Thanks to the data we've extracted from Zarkonian databases, we now have a map of known spacefaring civilizations in our galactic neighborhood." Dozens of points of light flickered to life across the hologram, Earth a small, pulsing blue dot on the outer rim. "Some of these civilizations may be potential allies," Sarah continued. "Others, well, let's just say the Zarkonians might not be the worst thing out there." John Cooper, looking uncomfortable in his formal EDC uniform, grunted. "So what's the play? We hunker down and fortify Sol, or do we take the fight to them?" A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. The idea of taking a proactive stance in galactic affairs was both exhilarating and terrifying. Blackwood held up a hand for silence. "Neither. At least, not entirely. We're going to do what humanity does best. Adapt, explore, and extend the hand of friendship, while keeping the other hand on our weapon." He nodded to Sarah, who brought up a new hologram, a sleek ship design unlike anything they'd seen before. "This," Blackwood announced, "is the Emissary-class deep space exploration vessel. Part diplomat, part scientist, part warship. We're going to send these out to every corner of the galaxy, to learn, to trade, to form alliances, and to show any potential enemies that Earth is not to be trifled with. The room erupted in excited chatter. The prospect of spreading out into the stars, of taking humanity's place among galactic civilizations, was intoxicating. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the process of rebuilding and adapting to the new reality was well underway. In the heartland of America, John Cooper's network of hidden bases had been transformed into training facilities for the next generation of space explorers and defenders. Maria Sanchez, now Admiral of Earth's growing space fleet, walked along a row of advanced simulators, watching as young pilots from every nation on Earth honed their skills. "Faster, Matthews," she barked at one cadet. "You think Zarkonian fighters are going to wait for you to line up your shot?" Despite her harsh tone, Maria couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. These kids, some of whom had been children during the first invasion, were the future of humanity's defense. In laboratories and universities across the globe, the pace of scientific advancement had accelerated to unprecedented levels. The influx of alien technology, combined with humanity's newfound unity of purpose, led to breakthroughs in energy production, medicine, and material science that would have seemed like fantasy mere months ago. Dr. Aisha Patel, presenting her latest work to a packed auditorium in Mumbai, could barely contain her excitement. By combining Zarkonian bio-augmentation techniques with our own genetic research, we're on the verge of curing diseases that have plagued humanity for millennia. And that's just the beginning. Yet even as humanity reached for the stars, new challenges emerged on Earth. The revelation of alien life and the aftermath of 2 invasions had profound societal impacts. Religious institutions grappled with the theological implications. Governments struggled to adapt to a new geopolitical reality where national borders seemed increasingly irrelevant, and fringe groups emerged calling for everything from galactic isolationism to aggressive expansion. In the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva, now serving as the seat of the newly formed Terran Confederation, heated debates raged over humanity's place in the cosmos. "We cannot trust these aliens," thundered Viktor Petrov, the firebrand leader of Earth's isolationist faction. "We should seal our borders, build up our defenses, and focus on our own world." His opponent, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, former ISS crew member and now a leading advocate for galactic engagement, countered passionately. "Isolation is not an option. Like it or not, we're part of a larger galactic community now. We must engage, learn, and yes, defend ourselves if necessary, but we cannot hide." As the debate raged on Earth, humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy were already underway. The ESS Horizon, under the command of Captain Alina Volkov, prepared for its maiden voyage beyond the solar system. On the bridge, Alina looked out at the star-studded void, a mixture of excitement and trepidation in her heart. "Lieutenant," she addressed her young helmsman, "set course for the Proxima Centauri system. Let's go see what's out there." As the Horizon's engines flared to life, propelling humanity's first ambassadors into the unknown, a transmission from Earth reached the ship. It was a joint message from Blackwood, Chen, and Cooper. "To the crew of the ESS Horizon, and to all those who will follow in your wake, you carry with you the hopes and dreams of our entire species. Remember where you came from, but never forget how far we've come. The galaxy awaits, and humanity stands ready to meet it, in peace if possible, in strength if necessary. Godspeed and safe travels." Back on Earth, in Times Square, a massive screen displayed the Horizon's departure. As the ship winked out of existence, entering the swirling vortex of a human-made wormhole, a cheer went up from the gathered crowd. It was a cheer echoed in cities and villages across the globe, a cry of triumph, of hope, and of unlimited potential. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever. They had taken the best of what their would-be conquerors had to offer and made it their own. Now, as they looked to the stars, they did so not in fear, but in anticipation of the wonders and challenges that awaited them. The Zarkonians had sought to subjugate a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and as news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy, other civilizations took notice, some with interest, some with fear, but all with the growing realization that a new power had emerged on the galactic stage. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and the universe would never be the same again. As the ESS Horizon ventured into the depths of space, carrying the best and brightest of Earth's children, it bore with it a simple message, broadcast on all frequencies in every known galactic language. We are humanity. We come in peace and in friendship. But know this, we have faced the darkness between the stars and emerged victorious. We seek allies, not subjects, friends, not conquests. Greet us with open arms, and you will find no better companions in all the cosmos. But threaten our home, our people, or our friends, and you will find no more formidable enemy. For we are humanity, and our potential knows no bounds. The age of Earth was over. The age of humanity had just begun.